Hey guys, so this week for our discussion board, we needed to find a country's policy on the use of interrogation techniques and torture methods. The country that I chose was Mexico, and I chose Mexico because I know that they use torture methods, but I'm not familiar with anything of, within their policies on how they're allowed to do it, what type of methods they use, how they get away with it, and those type of things. So the first article that I found kind of straight out says that, you know, torture and harsh interrogations are extremely prevalent in Mexico's investigations, which is kind of the basis for both of my articles that I found. What's going on right now in Mexico is there's a lot of accusations of their government committing torturous acts on women who have been accused of participating in illegal drug activity or organized crime. And Mexico's response to all of these accusations are saying that they're just actively pursuing drug trafficking problems that their country faces, which is obviously a cover up, unless, I guess they want to say that, but there's been tons and tons and tons of accusations as far as not even just women, men too, who are being subjected to different, being arrested for no actual reason, and then things are happening to them, and then they're being forced to sign statements that it didn't happen or to sign a statement that something else happened, and there's no real understanding of why this is happening within Mexico. And apparently this is not the first time that Mexico's been caught in the act of committing these illegal arrests and mistreating those. The Amnesty International, they reported that since 1991 there have been thousands of complaints of different ill treatment and torture of those who have been arrested, but only 15 cases have actually went to federal criminal convictions. So if that says anything, Mexico's clearly not worried about this. Which is ironic to me because I didn't know that Mexico had also signed and ratified the Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhumane, or Degrading Treatment or Punishment, as well as the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights that support other human rights documents dealing with torture and arbitrary arrests. So essentially that long thing is basically Mexico signed, an international law to hold certain obligations and standards within torture and torture methods and stuff like that within their interrogations. However, they're obviously breaking their obligations by illegally detaining and torturing individuals. And people are aware of this, but there's not enough evidence to actually kind of go for Mexico and say that Mexico's doing this. At least that's what I've gotten from this article as well as the other one that I have. And as far as the other one goes, it's actually not an article. It is a document. And I clicked this document because it is extremely interesting. It's a 14-page document if you're interested in reading it. It's pretty easy to read. It basically explains the history of Mexico and how they came about, the idea of torture methods within their interrogations. And then it goes into where they are now, what they've been doing, and it has different cases explaining, arrests that were made without evidence and stuff that's happened to different individuals, the type of torture methods they use. All of those are in there, and I thought that is extremely beneficial. Basically, like I said, the use of torture and cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment by military and police forces remain very widespread throughout Mexico, with impunity rife for the perpetrators. So with that being the case, different examples that Mexico is so far is known for implementing within their interrogations are death threats, threats against the detainees' families, mock executions, and threat of enforced disappearance, actual disappearance, beatings, stress positions, asphyxiation using plastic bags or wet clothes, carbonated water or chili being forced up a detainee's nostrils, electric shocks, rape and or other forms of sexual violence. And then there was also a case where an individual was tied up to a pole and they were soaked with water, and then they were given electric shocks for hours as well. So Mexico doesn't hold back when it goes to their torture methods. Obviously, they're pretty out there for it. And then within that document, there was one specific case study I just kind of want to sum up for you guys. It's about Claudia Tamirez. I think that's how you say her name. I'm not sure. She was essentially at home in her bed asleep when Navy Marines of Mexico broke into her home. They tied her up, blindfolded her. They took her to the local naval base where she was tortured using electric shock, sexual assaulted, beaten, kicked, and left tied to a chair. And then the next day she was transferred to a federal agency with another group of detainees where she was interrogated, and a Marine pressured her into signing a statement without allowing her to read the statement. And then later that day, authorities presented her and other detainees to the media saying that they were dangerous criminals who had been caught committing serious offenses. So essentially she was tortured and forced to sign a statement and then kind of threw under the bus. And her case, to me, seems to sum up hundreds of individuals' cases within Mexico. This is not something that they're hiding, and they don't really seem to care about it. This case happened in 2012, and she did petition to try to have a federal judge to request an investigation for it. Nothing happened. The document says that almost 2 years later, no investigation has taken place, and with it now being 2020, I'm pretty sure the same situation is still there. So essentially, I feel that, Mexico, as far as how it compares to my thoughts on the use of torture, I don't agree with Mexico stuff. I feel like they have no care for civil rights or individuals within their country by any means. While America, I feel like we still think about that in some aspects of it when it feels necessary to us, if that makes any sense. However, I pretty much guessed that this was Mexico's kind of stance within their torture methods. I knew that they did it. Surprises me that, they tried to sign a treaty stating that it wasn't going to happen, yet it's still happening, and nothing is happening to them for their action. So, essentially, that just kind of sums everything up. Thank you.